sound. And one of the beautiful things about these being turbocharged is the pop and bang sound that you get. It's just so good. I absolutely love that sound. Let's just go. Hello, welcome to Invictus Porsche. We've got a Porsche 718 Boxster, and the 718 are just a very different prospect of a Porsche in comparison to its predecessors, the Porsche 981 Boxster or the Cayman. And here I'll probably make the case for why I think the 718 are an absolute joy of a car. I mean, there is some criticism about the 2.5 litre turbocharged engine, and in this video what I would like to address is why that in some ways isn't really true, because this is still an absolutely outstanding Porsche Boxster from a handling point of view, from a performance, and from above all, the main point of this video is how incredible it sounds. And in my opinion, after having had quite a few of these, I think this may go down quite controversially. It, to me, sounds a lot better than a naturally aspirated Porsche Boxster 981. I don't know if that's something to do with the gear ratios, it's the way the transmission is set up, but on the 718, it's completely blown me over, and it's won me over. So let's just get into this review and talk a little bit further about the 718. Before we can get into the video, don't forget to subscribe. And something that is really close to our hearts is actually working with a charity, because we earn from YouTube and that gets donated to a UK registered charity. Currently we're working on a wells project in Afghanistan, so whatever money we raise gets invested into villages or communities for people that have to walk 4 or 5 kilometers for a clean source of water. So we go in there via that charity to install a proper pump where they can get a very good clean source of water. Now back onto the Porsche 718 Boxster, and the first thing we'll cover is stylistically and aesthetically what it is like. Aesthetically, it's a massively improved car, starting from the front bumper. The front bumper and the rear bumpers have been completely reworked. This is, a very different design to what you would normally see on the Porsche Boxster 981 or the Cayman, as well as the headlights, and above all, just the whole silhouette of the vehicle changes and is a very dynamic and a wow factor to the vehicle here. Now, as we go around to the rest of the side of the vehicle, you get a wider and more option for alloys. This has the Porsche Boxster S alloys. These are the 19-inch alloys. The side vents here also have been reworked. They're just more stealthier and they look slightly bit more enlarged. The rear diffuser there has also been reworked. Well, the biggest changes to the rear has been the 2 LED headlights get connected by this beautiful trim all the way at the back with Porsche, and this just looks absolutely outstanding, as well as the whole of the rear bumper has been reworked completely from the ground up. And now you still have the beautiful practicality of the Boxster or the Caymans by having a rear and a front boot. But before we can actually just show you and illustrate that space in the front and the rear and whether there are any changes, let's just talk about the inside a little bit. On the face of it, this may look like on the inside a very similar interior, but from the get-go, that PCM is the PCM4. You've now got Apple CarPlay, so it brings it up to age, and it's just brilliant for being able to have Apple or Android connectivity. You've got the sports steering wheel, which is also got the heated button here from what I can feel. Sorry, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but you also had the heated sport capability in the 918 Boxsters as well. But the biggest changes have been this selector mode. On the Boxster 981Ss, you had a bunch of buttons here showing Sport, Sport Plus, and practically PASM and everything you needed from a sports orientation point of view. It was all there. Now in the 718, having that mode selector there, you can put it into the sport Sport Plus, and obviously in the individual mode. You've also got the chrono watch, which still stays in the exact same location, but the vents here for the ventilation system have been reworked. The seats, the button for the heated seats still remain the same. This has got the comfort seats package, which are partly electrically adjustable and part manual. They are in leather, and you've got the wind deflector in the exact same place. Some of the things might seem familiar, but it is a reworked cabin space. It feels newer, it feels updated, and you do feel like you're sitting in a more evolved product in the Porsche lineup rather than sort of a revolutionized version of the Porsche Boxster. Now let's just pop the front and the rear bonnets open. I'll show you the rear quickly. Still as practical as ever. You've got all the space you need to put maybe 2 small suitcases or a couple of small gym bags. And to the front, you've got this very spacious front boot space, and you've got the tire inflator kit there and the rest of the kit on the right side, including your locking wheel nut. Now, what I'd like to do is take you out on a journey by driving this and tell you a little bit about the performance differences and what it's like from a mechanical point of view, from performance, handling, and above all, why, as I said, it sounds wonderful. This is just an absolute joy to drive, sit in, and just from all the tactile feel that you get from the steering wheel and from just looking at the upgraded interior and the 2.5 litre engine. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this being 2.5 litre and turbocharged, and that's because the Porsche Boxster 981 was, naturally aspirated 6-cylinder, and this went to 2.5 litre turbocharged, and it wasn't called the 982 generation, it was called a 718, and that gives a nod to the Porsches from the 50s in 1959 and 1960 that won the Targa Florio races. And it won the Targa Florio races based on the fact it was a lighter car, and the competition had bigger engine cars versus the Porsche 718s of the 1959 and 1960, yet it won the Targa Florio races and beat a lot of competitors, hence why there's a nod to giving these cars the name tag of 718. And immediately from the get-go, this is just in the standard mode, the standard comfort mode, it really wants to take off. And I'm going to just switch it, put it in sports mode. God, that sound. And one of the beautiful things about these being turbocharged is the pop and bang sound that you get. It's just so good. I absolutely love that sound. Let's just go back up to third and drop it. And it's this sound and that extra bit of torque that you get down the lower gears that make it such a desirable prospect and make it such a wonderful car to have, because you don't need to be doing 50 or 60 miles per hour, or you don't need to be at the 4.5 or 5,000 revs per minute at 3,000 going from second to third or from third to second. That in itself is enjoyable enough. Just It's a lot of fun and very, very enjoyable to drive one of these and put it through Spacious. Let's talk about the performance numbers. Let me just calm down a little bit. We'll just explain to you what it offers, the 2.5 litre turbocharged engine in the Porsche 718 Boxster or the 718. You know, this is the S iteration, so obviously this is the more sports orientated package, and it's the S variant is definitely a massive improvement from the standard 2 litre. So let's just mention these performance numbers. 2.5 litre turbocharged engine gives you 355 bhp, 420 newton meters of torque. 420 newton meters of torque is what you would normally get in the Porsche 911 Carrera S, the 991.1 iteration that were launched in 2011. In terms of the 0 to 60 times, you know, for the 0 to 60 miles per hour, this does it in 4.5 seconds, very similar to the 991.1 Carrera S's. And additionally, in terms of MPG, that city, local driving kind of MPG could vary anywhere from about 25 to 35 miles per gallon. It all depends on your style of driving. And if you're going to be doing a bit of motorway driving, it could be anywhere from 40 miles per gallon plus. But no one really buys these in terms of the kind of MPG it gives you. It's all about the rest of the, you know, characteristic that the Porsche really offers you from a driving handling point of view, from it being a soft roof convertible. And just to kind of compare the performance figures with a Porsche 981 Boxster or the 981 Cayman S in particular, the 981 Boxster S would give you 315 bhp. This is 355. The 0 to 60 miles per hour times on the Boxster 981 S is 5 seconds. This is 4.5 seconds, and the torque also varies. That has a torque of circa 350 newton meters of torque. This is 420 newton meters of torque, and the top speed on this is circa 177 miles per hour. It's very difficult to kind of capture the true essence of the wonderful sound, the exquisite sound that you get from the exhaust system on these. And you've really got to come out to drive one of these to truly appreciate how wonderful it sounds. And I'm absolutely taken by it. Third gear, 4,000 RPM. I'll start to slow down, put it in second. And it's that. And it being turbocharged, again, as I said really at the start of my driving review of the Porsche 718 Boxster, this being a smaller engine, 2.5 litre rather than 3.5, losing 2 cylinders, it hasn't in any way, form or shape have sacrificed or lost anything in terms of what the Porsche experience is really meant to give you. It's still an absolutely wonderful and a Porsche-like experience, and in my point of view, from an evolution point of view, this is where the Porsche product is really headed towards. It naturally being a bigger, more cylinder, more liners, sort of an engine car. It's not going to genuinely go down that trajectory. At some point, Porsche would need to have worked on evolving that product to meet newer standard legislations and everything else from a bureaucracy point of view that the manufacturers really need to face. And I think Porsche handled this remarkably well with the Porsche 718 Boxsters, the Caymans, in 2015, 2016, and also they did an absolutely incredible job with the Porsche 911, the 991.2, because overall, what a wonderful cars they are, despite them being turbocharged, no longer 3.8 litre naturally aspirated Porsche 911, but a 3 litre twin turbocharged Porsche 911. And I can carry on talking about this topic forever, but to me, this is just a wonderful, evolved, and a phenomenally engaging experience. The handling also is by far a lot more superior in this in comparison to a Porsche 981 Boxster. It feels, the fact that it's been redesigned, you're almost getting certain percentage of an increase in the downforce. Therefore, the handling around cornering is better. It might be a slightly heavier car, but as a matter of fact, it feels lighter because of the aerodynamics, because of the downforce, and just the overall handling is by far a lot more superior. Now, let's talk about the 6-speed manual transmission. Wow, I mean, what a box that is in itself, because it is so precise, it is extremely engaging, and the clutch is very soft. In comparison to kind of the clutch and the transmission that you get in the Porsche 981, yeah, they're both 6-speed. Yes, they've both got an extra pedal over the PDK, but God, this is feeling like a lighter clutch and just a much more precise engagement in terms of the gear changes. And let me just get you to listen to that exhaust sound one more time. You don't get that in the naturally aspirated Porsche Boxster 981S or the Caymans. At 4,500 RPM, the engine just being a tiny bit warm, and this is what you get. It is absolutely phenomenal. Now, if you're looking to buy this Porsche 718 Boxster, at the moment we've got this in stock. We're at the very near end of December. I think it's 27 December 2022. So if you're watching this video in 6 months' time, definitely this would have been sold by now. So if you're curious to know the service history, this has got full service history. Part of the service history is from Porsche and part of it is Specialist. It's just been serviced about 2 weeks ago. Also, it's had an MOT. From what we can see from our point of view, it doesn't really need any prep work whatsoever for it to go to the next home, so it can easily be delivered out to you. In terms of the number of former keepers, it's got 3 former keepers, and the current 4th owner has had it for circa 4 years. It's been well maintained, well looked after, and to me it's an absolutely incredible example of a well looked after Porsche 718 Boxster S. And lastly, just to kind of put the rarity of these cars, especially with the 6-speed manual transmission, this being an S and the Chrono Sport Plus package, there's, from memory on Auto Trader, there's only about 4 or 5 of them available, and they're all asking absolutely ridiculous value. In December 2022, we're asking £35,000 with 44,000 miles. There are examples of higher mileage Porsche 718 Boxsters and Caymans that people are asking for closer to 40 grand, and that's just goes to show that, you know, you can still pick up one of these at rather reasonable value like we have, rather than paying, I think, some inflated prices out there. But if you've got a Part X, or if you've got any other questions, whether it's about this vehicle or another vehicle in our stock, don't hesitate to contact us. And lastly, one more time, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching our videos, for supporting us, for supporting our cause, because you are in some way, form or shape indirectly supporting our cause, because what we earn gets donated to charity. And just to kind of show you some of these clips in terms of the work we've been doing. Here is an example where they've had no well. The children are all really excited whilst we're building the well, and when the well is completed, just the smiles of these little kids says it all. So thank you one more time for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.